Hello friends, I'm Iman. Welcome to the Complete Blender software tutorial. In this session, we're going to work on professional lighting techniques and three-point lighting. If you enjoyed my tutorials, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Let's get started with the lesson. One of the fundamental subjects that we frequently deal with in our workflow is lighting. If I navigate over to the render section and enable the active camera view, you will clearly see that, based on the specific lighting setup in my scene, distinct areas of highlights and deep shadows are created. And we can then meticulously adjust and fine-tune the intensity of our lights accordingly. For example, by moving my point light, I can increase or decrease these lights. Let me mention something. For instance, here I increased it. The less I reduce the light on my object, meaning the smaller I make it, the more intense the light that falls on it will definitely become. Now, for example, if I take this object and bring it into my transform panel, you can see it's exactly 1 centimeter wide. But when I manually set it to 2 centimeters or even more in the scale settings, do you see how the proportions change? It really makes a big difference in the final layout, doesn't it? I make it smaller with S, and it changes both the angle and intensity of my light. Alright, now let's see how many types of light sources we have. Okay, I press Shift plus A or go to Add and select Light. Well, we have a point, as you can see, a sun and a spot, and there's an option in the settings section of our light. It shows us these options, the first of which is the panel that I can move around here to create my light and see it. Well, I can also change the color of the light. You see? Well, I bring it here and I can reduce the intensity of my light. For example, I can set it to 100 watts, you see. I set it to 1000 watts and change my light. Now let me mention a point here. Whenever you have your render engine specifically set to Eevee, if you decide to enable the custom distance setting within the panel, now if I increase this, do you see the light? There's nothing. But when I increase the light just a little bit, do you see? It's giving me light intermittently. Do you see? When does this happen? It happens when your light is actually set to motor render Eevee. Here we call this the color section, where we can change its color. This part is the wattage, where we can change its wattage. In this section we can increase its radius, meaning we can actually make our light softer and its intensity smoother. Whether you want to move it with this or you want to move it with your mouse button, both are possible. Just like here, the radius is being adjusted with the key. You can simply move it over to the left side using your mouse. Okay, now I'm going to press Shift plus A on the keyboard and add another light source to act as the sun. Now, when you are working with the sunlight source, it really doesn't matter exactly where you place it in your scene. Here, you will notice there is a specific dial that you can, by simply clicking and dragging on that dial, you can actually change its rotation angle to adjust the lighting. See? Actually, I'm saying it wrong, it's not a dial. I can actually move its anchor point. Okay, here again I can change its light, increase or decrease its intensity, or adjust its angle. You see, when I change the angle, like if I set it to 0 here, this doesn't change. It's the angle of the light that's changing. Alright. You can also reposition these by pressing G on your keyboard. See? I'm moving it with G. I go to the point and move it. Okay? This is also a part that you can work with and interact with. Let me mention something here, guys. Before we move on, I should probably mention a quick detail here, guys. The real-time Eevee rendering engine actually emits significantly more light than you might expect. But when I set it to cycles, and for example, I also set the denoise option here to cycles, and then I put this on GPU compute. In fact, when I set my graphics card to compute, I enable my denoise option. Guys, this incredible final render, or actually this render engine gives me the real color. In the Eevee section, the color isn't real. It's actually a default version of your color. So keep in mind, if you want to get a high quality render, you need to set it to cycles so it can see your lighting. Alright, let's move on to the next light color to see what it is. In the spot section, the first thing I am going to do is move it around just a little bit by using the G key. Alright, if you pay close attention to the viewport, you will notice that this light source functions just like a typical desk lamp. See? Let me go ahead and switch these two completely off. Okay, so right now there is no light at all. If I bring this one lower, you can see the light, and it has been created. I can change its wattage and color here. If I set this to 1000, okay, I can drag it from above to see where it's placed and change its position. Then select the camera again. Let me close this too, okay? Here, the more I increase the light intensity, as I do this, do you see? It becomes more visible. I'm increasing the radius, do you see? If I set the radius to 0, it doesn't show up here. If I increase this value right here, it clearly highlights these specific areas to me. Now, I go ahead and select this object and carefully adjust its rotation angle. Now, as for the radius, I'll also reduce its radius so you can see. This is actually like a desk lamp, or rather a flashlight that lets you shine a focused light on a corner of your image. You can change its color here, its wattage here, and its radius here. You can adjust its settings just like all those previous defaults. Now, if I turn all of them on, you can see that the lights have been created. Alright, now let's go on. You see, I'm turning off the lights one by one, so you can see each example as I explain it. Then our next option is actually areas. Now, how do I move it? You see, the light it's giving me is a focused light from above, or from wherever I'm working with it. Here, I'm increasing the intensity of the light. At this point, I can move the object back up to its previous position again, reposition it more precisely, carefully construct this specific section of the model, and finally be able to clearly observe exactly where the light source is coming from in the scene. Actually, area is another studio light. It's exactly like, for example, you have a softbox and you can light it up, okay? So, in this software, we have 4 primary types of light sources available: point, sun, spot, and area lights. There is a very important point that I really need to mention here for you guys. Let me go ahead and turn off this area light for a moment, and then I will turn on the point light here, which is basically just your standard regular light source. Okay? Alright guys, now I come here and select the object. In our color section, we have an option. Just give me a second while I try to locate that for you. Here it is. Imogen, look guys, Imogen is like a halo of light. Do you see? It turned Norton, whatever it was, completely white. Now if I turn all of these on, it shows you the intensity of the light. It creates an exceptionally bright and vibrant effect for you. It gives a strikingly sharp and dynamic level of contrast, as if it makes the whole image shiny, and actually increases the intensity of your light a lot, which you can easily adjust up or down with this specific adjustment slider section right here. Okay. Now, if I turn these on, should I turn it on or not? Let me turn on one or two of them. Can you see? So pay attention to this part. For example, if you start tweaking the image or increase the brightness, you'll have to keep adjusting your light sources until you get the exact lighting you want. Okay? All right, I'm going to open a new page. Okay? All right, now what I'm going to do is carefully bring in this Susan Delete object right here. Just give me 1 second while I get this set up for you. Okay. I'll smooth it as well so it's smoothed out. I'll activate my camera. Let me just go ahead and do a bit more work on this for a moment. I'm sorry. All right. Now I'm going to turn it towards the camera. Okay guys, in the layers section, or actually within the viewport area, we have an option available right here called MatCap. Click on it. In this specific area, it provides you with bright focused lights so that you can clearly see all of your subtle highlights and intricate surface textures. That is, you can see where it has broken, where it has formed, so you can observe these changes based on what's there. Now, for example, in this same option, I come and look at this. You can see the intensity of the light. I activate the camera so you can see it from the camera's perspective. I go to the color history. I click and come in, I select its mirror version. Do you see how intense the light is? Should I move my light to get this intensity? I see it clearly now. But when I actually go into the render engine, I don't see it anymore, and I can definitely do all the lighting myself. So what's the use of this? When you activate this option, you can clearly observe the indentations and the material properties. Furthermore, when you are working within the render engine, right here you can manually adjust the lighting setup yourself based on the parts that exist in the scene. So for example, right here I will take my light source and increase its radius size a bit. Does that make sense? Alright, now guys, we have a type of light that we actually call. Now we are going to set up the fill light. I will press the Shift-D keyboard shortcut to duplicate the existing light source and then carefully add it over to this side of the model to balance the shadows. You see, now there are two lights. Now I'll reduce its intensity a bit. I'll lower this one too. Alright, let me go ahead and dim the lighting in here. Okay, let's go ahead and get the camera activated right now. Hey guys, I am actually going to jump into this specific part of the process myself. Give me just a quick second here while I get everything set up so I can properly join in and participate with the rest of the group. Alright, let me see this from the camera's view. Let this specific one be the main original reference point. I will go ahead and move my studio lights around a bit. You see, the intensity of the light changes the state of those lights. Specifically here as well, I carefully adjust the overall intensity level of the light. Now, looking at this specific spot right here, I am going to carefully shift the position from this higher vantage point above, and as I move it across the surface, you can see how it starts to create the desired visual effect we are looking for. Alright, so now I'm going to press Shift-D. First, I carefully set the adjustment to the specific Z angle, making sure to bring it exactly to the Z position. Once that is aligned, I am going to take one of these lights and move it all the way to the back of the subject, which is the specific placement we commonly refer to as the ring light setup. Shift-D is for copying, but since I pressed Ctrl-Z, it disappeared, so its place, I'll go ahead and change it, then move back to the previous position and carefully select the X angle. Do you see? Now, if I increase or decrease the intensity of this light a little and reduce this one a bit and also reduce the other one a bit, adjusting their intensities. Now I move it around the screen. I am actually going to make this one into a spot, then drag it over here to this area so that we can see how it looks. Let it be on this. Okay, like this. I'll set this one to sun. You see, now that it's on this, I'll lower its intensity. I'll set it to 0 and give a bit more light to this side. I'll turn on the camera. I'll reposition this one over to the side. Guys, you need to practice lighting so much that you get a feel for how to light and how to work with it. I gave you a short tutorial showing that you have several lights, several sources, and how you can add, in fact, field lights, give ring light to the background, and very simply, I taught you how to do it. But you need to practice enough so that based on the material you have or the object you add, you can figure out where the lighting looks better, where it works best, and many other things. Now, if I myself wanted to stick to figuring out exactly how many lights are needed here or how many steps are required, it would take a lot of time, which is beyond the scope of your lesson. I've told you many times that if you want to succeed, you need to practice a lot so that you become familiar with all the tools. Well, I hope you enjoyed this lesson's tutorial. Until the next session, goodbye.